welcome back to the Hazzabhajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time for another installment in my series that I'm doing where I look at every record signing by a particular category or criteria since 1992. And I know I've done a few episodes in this series in recent times, but I'm quite enjoying doing them, so why not strike while the iron's still hot? For this episode though, I'm switching things up a little bit, as instead of ranking every single record signing made by a particular club since 1992, I'm going to look at every single record signing from a particular position. And as you've been able to tell by the title and probably the thumbnail of this video, the position in question for this video is goalkeeper. Like with all the previous episodes in this series, the players are ranked based on how good of a signing they were, rather than how good of a player they were or are. So if you do disagree with any of my selections, then please disagree with me on that criteria rather than on the criteria of how good of a player they were, because that's not what I'm judging them on. Feel free to go and check out any of the other episodes I've done in this series. I've covered Manchester City, Liverpool and Manchester United's record signings since 1992 and ranked them all from worst to best. And if you go on to enjoy this video, please don't forget to slap a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And without any further ado, here is how I would rank every goalkeeper to have held the title of being the most expensive goalkeeper of all time since 1992 from worst to best. 9th, Kepa Arrizabalaga to Chelsea. Spanish goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga is the man who currently holds the record of being the most expensive goalkeeper of all time. And in my opinion, he's also the worst out of all of those who have held that title, and by a considerable margin at that. When Chelsea lost Thibaut Courtois towards the end of the 2018 summer transfer window to Real Madrid, they desperately looked around in an attempt to find any available goalkeeper to fill the void. At the 11th hour, they came across Kepa, who had played well enough for Athletic Bilbao, but would only be sold if his £72 million release clause was triggered, which, in all honesty, was nowhere near his true market value. Seemingly with no other choice and with a matter of hours left in the transfer window, the Blues decided to stump up the cash and tie the Spaniard down to a 7-year deal, which sadly would prove to be a big mistake. His first season at Stamford Bridge was okay, albeit marred by a famous incident in the 2019 League Cup final against Manchester City when he refused to be substituted, undermining his manager Maurizio Sarri in the process, and then was in goal as Chelsea lost the resulting penalty shootout. After that season though, the wheels well and truly fell off, and a series of mistakes and 51 goals conceded in the league in 2019-20 led to his confidence being irreversibly shot to pieces. He now sits perennially on the bench after Chelsea bought Edouard Mendy in 2020 for just over a quarter of Kepa's original fee, and the Senegalese goalkeeper immediately looked much more assured, composed and stable than the Spaniard ever did. Well, apart from last week against Leeds, in fairness. When Kepa has played, he still looks uncertain of his own abilities, and in spite of winning the Blues the European Super Cup against Villarreal in a penalty shootout, he didn't save any of Liverpool's 11 penalties in the 2022 League Cup final and placed his own spot kick over the bar to hand the Reds the trophy. If Chelsea ever do decide to sell him, they'll be lucky to recoup a fifth of what they splashed out on him in the first place. All in all, a complete disaster for both club and player. 8th, Angelo Paducy to Talaccio. Even though we started off with a bona fide flop, I think all of the other 8 goalkeepers to have held the title of being the most expensive goalkeeper of all time since 1992 were, at the very least, decent signings by the clubs in question. Kicking off a strong top 8 is Angelo Paducy, one of 4 Italians to feature in this video, which only goes to show that Italy just do goalkeepers better than everybody else. A stocky, athletic but no frills goalkeeper who preferred to intimidate the opposition with his presence rather than doing anything unnecessarily flashy, Perutzi was aged 30 when he made a £15.7 million switch to Lazio from Inter Milan in 2000, making him the oldest player at the time of the transfer to feature in this list. Perutzi was Lazio's number 1 for the next 7 years, taking that spot from someone who will feature later on in this video, and putting consistently good performances over that time. However, the club experienced a come down from the title challenging outfit that they had been prior to Perutzi's arrival to returning to the fringes of European qualification, as financial constraints, not helped by the fee they paid for Perutzi amongst many other players, and their complicity in the 2006 Calciopoli scandal, hit them hard. Perutzi did pick up a 2004 Coppa Italia winners medal and was Gianluigi Buffon's number 2 during Italy's triumphant 2006 World Cup campaign, but niggling injuries began to plague his career as the years went on, and he retired in 2007. Although he wasn't to blame by any means, his transfer could definitely have gone better, and for what it meant to the club more broadly, I think 8th is about right. 7th, Gianluca Paliyuka to Inter Milan. Gianluca Paliyuka established himself as a bright talent with Sampdoria, where he spent 6 years and won Serie A and the European Cup Winners' Cup, as well as helping the club reach the European Cup final in 1992. A fearsome sweeper keeper with a notorious temper, the Bologna native was Italy's first choice goalkeeper in their run to the 1994 World Cup final, and following the tournament, Inter Milan chose him as their replacement for club legend Walter Zenga and signed him for a fee of £7 million. However, although Paliyuka put in 4 seasons of excellent displays, only conceding more than 34 league goals in a season once during that time frame, this was a particularly dry spell for Inter Milan, as they only finished inside the top 3 of Serie A twice between 1994 and 1999, which coincided with Paliyuka's time at the club, and their only trophy was a UEFA Cup success in 1998, which Paliyuka, in fairness, did lift as captain. During the 1998-99 campaign though, his excellent performances began to tail off, as he let in 44 goals in 29 games and saw Inter slip to 8th in the league, and he was dropped towards the end of the season. He was moved on to Bologna that summer, and although I couldn't find out the exact fee, it seems likely that there was either little or absolutely zero money involved in the deal whatsoever. In summary, although Paliyuka had 4 stellar individual seasons, the distinct lack of club success, in spite of the talent at the club at the time, coupled with the huge loss that they made on him, means he comes in 7th. 6th, Sébastien Frey to Inter Milan. Sébastien Frey is by far and away the youngest goalkeeper to have ever broken the world record transfer fee in his position, when he moved to Inter Milan from Cannes in 1998 at the age of just 18. Touted for greatness almost immediately after he started his professional career, Frey had only had 1 season of semi-regular first-team football prior to his £9.2 million move to Milan in 1998, as he made 24 appearances for Cannes in Division 1, but Inter had seen enough to think that he would be their long-term number 1. He was 3rd choice for most of his debut campaign, but did make 7 appearances in the league before a loan spell with Hellas Verona in 1999-2000, where he helped the club stave off relegation with some impressive displays. Frey became Inter's first choice upon his return, and he made 28 Serie A appearances, but after yet another disappointing campaign for the Nerazzurri, wholesale changes were made at the club in yet another desperate attempt to challenge at the top once more. One of those changes came in net, as they signed Francesco Tordol to replace Frey, who was subsequently placed on the transfer list, essentially being thrown out the door before he'd even had a chance to prove himself. Surprisingly, they turned a huge profit on him, as Parma decided he was the man to replace another player who will feature later on in this video, and signed him for a purported fee of £13 million, which included Parma giving Inter Sergio Conceição in return. 5th, Angelo Peruzzi to Inter Milan. Angelo Paducy is the only player to have broken the world record fee for a goalkeeper twice, but his 2 record-breaking moves came just a year apart from one another. Inter Milan brought him to the San Siro to replace Paliyuka in 1999, signing him for £9.5 million from Juventus, where he had been the old lady's number 1 for the previous 7 years. Once again though, the Nerazzurri failed to live up to expectations, finishing 4th in Serie A, in spite of Peruzzi's excellent performances and their star-studded squad. Much like with Frey the year after, Inter still turned a significant profit on him when Lazio bought him for the aforementioned world record-breaking fee of £15.7 million plus Marco Ballotta. Frey and Perutzi come in 6th and 5th respectively, mostly because of the profit that Inter made when they sold them both, and since Perutzi made more than Frey did, he narrowly edges out the Frenchman into 5th place. 4th, Luka Machagiani to Talaccio. Luka Machagiani was another Italian goalkeeper who had sharp reflexes, a never-say-die attitude, and a proclivity to carve his line to either catch crosses or charge out of the box to intercept opposition attacks. He was aged 27 when Lazio forked out £6 million in 1993 to sign him from Torino, which nearly tripled the previous record fee for a goalkeeper set back in 1998 by Barcelona's capture Andoni Zubizarreta. The Rome outfit were building an exciting squad and, as it turned out, were about to embark on the most sustained period of success in their entire history, with Machagiani the figurehead between the sticks. Between 1995 and 2000, he never averaged more than 1 goal conceded per game in the league, and in 1998 he went 745 minutes without conceding a goal in league play, which remains the joint 8th longest such streak in Serie A history. His dominant displays helped transform Lazio from mid-table also rans to consistent trophy challenges, as they won 2 Coppa Italias in 1998 and 2000, the final ever European Cup Winners' Cup in 1999, and the Serie A title in 2000. Sadly for Machagiani, that Serie A triumph coincided with his last season as a regular starter at the Stadio Olimpico, as Lazio signed the AFL-ranked Perutzi as his replacement that summer, and he made just 42 appearances over the next 3 years before moving to Chievo in 2003, aged 37. Machagiani was undeniably one of a number of shrewd signings that Lazio made during the 1990s, and given how much success they had with him as their number 1, as well as his own personal displays in between the sticks over the course of those 7 years as a first-team regular, I think he has to come in 4th in this list. 3rd, Ederson to Manchester City. Putting Ederson ahead of Machagiani might come across as a bit of recency bias, and I did go back and forth with who to put in 3rd place for quite a while, but after a lot of consideration, I think Ederson just about deserves a podium finish. The Brazilian goalkeeper was the first player to break the world transfer record fee for a goalkeeper since 2001, albeit in pounds rather than in euros, but since it broke a record of some kind, he is eligible to feature in this ranking. After Pep Guardiola's debut campaign experiment with the ever-prone Claudio Bravo didn't work out, they immediately looked to the then Benfica goalkeeper as his long-term replacement, and it took a £35 million fee to prize him away from the Portuguese giants. In truth, I'm still yet to be totally convinced by Ederson as a goalkeeper in the purest sense of the term. He lets in a number of shots which I would probably expect a goalkeeper of his calibre to save, and the fact that he has won 4 Golden Glove awards in 5 seasons is, in my opinion, more down to the defence than to him. However, there is no denying his ability on the ball, as his range of passing is almost second to none amongst other goalkeepers of this generation. He always looks composed and unflappable when in possession, and his charges out of the box to win the ball back pay off more often than not. Ultimately, 4 Premier League titles and 5 domestic cups with him in goal say a lot about how integral he is to the way City play under Guardiola, and he will probably be their first choice for another half a decade or more. Therefore, when ranked as a signing, he has been exceptionally good value for money, and just about takes 3rd. 2nd, Alison Becker to Liverpool. Ahead of his compatriot Ederson is Alison Becker, as despite costing Liverpool an eye-watering £66 million in 2018 from Roma, he has been one of the Reds' most important players during their greatest era since the 1980s. It's easy to forget that the Brazilian cost that much despite having had just 1 season of regular first-team football in Europe, as in 2016-17 he didn't feature once in the league for Roma, with his appearances that season solely coming in cup competitions. But Liverpool had seen enough of him in 2017-18 to snap him up in their latest, and ultimately most successful, attempt to fix a position that had been a problem for the club since Pepe Reina's departure in 2013. That decision to sign him has paid off in spades, and in my opinion, he is now the best goalkeeper in the Premier League and one of the top 3 goalkeepers in the world. His composure in one-on-ones is incredible, he's very comfortable with the ball at his feet, and his positioning makes me think he isn't ever going to concede a goal. And when you have that much confidence in a goalkeeper who plays for a team you don't support, then clearly he must be doing something right. Although he had a high-profile wobble at the start of 2021, a time period which sadly coincided with his father tragically drowning back in his native Brazil, he quickly returned to his sparkling best, and his 96th minute winning goal against West Brom in May 2021 was crucial in helping the Reds qualify for the Champions League in 2021-22. He has won 1 of each of the trophies on offer to him during his time at Anfield, and to have been such an emphatic remedy and spearhead for the club over the last 4 years, in spite of the huge fee involved in his original transfer, speaks volumes of his quality and how good of a signing he has been for Liverpool, and in my opinion, he rightly takes 2nd in this list. First, Janumiji Buffon to Juventus. Look, I'm not gonna lie, this may well prove to be the easiest decision I may ever make in this series with regards to who takes top spots in a particular ranking. Janumiji Buffon's £31 million move to Juventus from Parma in 2001 stood as a record for a goalkeeper for 16 years and as Juventus' record signing until Gonzalo Higuain's move to Turin in 2016. But to say it was worth every penny to the club would be an understatement. The old lady knew exactly what they were getting when they signed Buffon, a well-rounded, positionally excellent goalkeeper who was agile, composed and a phenomenal shot stopper. You could argue that he was already the complete package when he moved there, despite being aged just 23, which is extremely young for a goalkeeper, but he still had to justify the fee, and boy did he. Over the course of the next 17 years, Buffon racked up 656 appearances for the club, rarely ever letting them down, sticking with them after their enforced relegation to Serie B owing to the Calciopoli scandal, and captaining them as they dominated Serie A throughout the 2010s. Although the Champions League ultimately eluded him, he won 9 Serie A's, or 11 if you include the 2 rescinded owing to Calciopoli, 5 Coppa Italias, 10 Serie A Goalkeeper of the Year awards, and countless other individual honours. He left in 2018 at the age of 40 to move to PSG, but returned a year later to make 29 more appearances, and remarkably, he has recently signed a contract extension with his first club Parma that will see him keep on playing until the age of 46. However, the fact that he was Juventus' #1 for 17 years is testament to his talent, longevity and willingness to be as good as he can be for as long as possible, and he rightly takes his place at the top of this list, with all due respect to Alisson, by a country mile. And I don't think Liverpool fans can argue with me on this one. And that just about wraps up today's video, looking at how I would rank every single goalkeeper to have been the subject of the world record transfer fee for a goalkeeper since 1992. If you enjoyed this video, as I say, please don't forget, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, ring the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a video straight away, and let me know what changes you would make and which other clubs or indeed positions you would like me to cover in this series down in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.